Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description.
All right, so this is 3-5 at Lucky Chances on Friday.
Yeah.
So we're playing $950 effective. I cover the table, and I am in the cutoff.
950 effective?
Yeah.
So, by the way, this is another game that's a 500 max, right? Is that right, or did they change it?
It's a $1,000 cap.
Did they change that? Was it 500 before? Like maybe years ago or something? A couple of years ago?
I think a couple of years ago.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
recently it's been 1K cap, and they also opened up a 510, so that could be part of it.
They did open up a 510 because I've heard that Lucky Chances has been dead. I mean, I haven't for a long time, but then maybe it's better now because a lot of like the strong players go down and play in San Jose. But before San Jose No Limit had opened up, it had sort of died. Was sort of the
Yeah, that could be part of it. They also opened up a big Pilo game that brings a lot of people in. They have a 2040 that'll run like two times a week.
Okay. All right, cool. So 3-5 Lucky Chances in San Francisco, 950 effective, the 1,000 cap. Okay. Yep.
So I cover everyone in the hand. There's a limp from under the gun 1. The hijack raises to 20. He'd been raising kind of smaller with a wide range. I'm next to act in the cutoff. I have ace of hearts, 5 of hearts. Definitely normally a 3-bet, but the big blind was a player that I really wanted to play some pots with. He was kind of a wild whale, we could say.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring him into the hand. So I just call, button calls, and the small blind, who had sat down maybe 20 minutes ago, raised to 80.
So
he's.
I think that I don't know if you probably heard me on the last call where I was saying that like people are getting like way too down the rabbit hole with like very minor inflection points with pre-flop to the point where like they're not even analyzing the rest of the hand in stupidly ridiculous like close pre-flop spots where the EV of 3 different decision points there isn't much of a difference. But here though, I mean, you're trying to be very, very overly optimistic if you're saying I'm calling the hijacks raised to 20 in the cutoff with a guy behind me when there's a limper in front because I want to bring the big blind whale into the hand. I mean, at 950 effective, it just seems like this is like a 3-bet all day. So, I mean, I did just say that people were going like way too far with pre-flop detail, but here you have a limp. And you can get the limper out. You know, you're again. It's just a situation where like a lot of these hands like stand to fare pretty well to play heads up. I mean, that's what I would say. But you call, the button calls, the small blind 3-bets to 80, and I'm assuming the big blind is out, like the guy that you wanted to play.
Big blind cold calls.
Oh, big blind cold calls. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The limper calls.
Yep.
The hijack folds. It's on me. Now I'm thinking about 4-betting with all the dead money out there with a hand that, you know, is kind of on the line, but I end up just calling and the button calls behind me.
So the limper here, this is classic. The limper here has limp cold called a 3-bet, right?
Yep.
I mean here's the issue. I don't know what the deal is with the guy, like what kind of player the guy is in the small blind as a 3-bet, but this goes limp, hijack 20, you call, cutoff, button calls, small blind 3-bets to 80, big blind calls, limper calls, now the original raiser folds. Like, how do you credibly represent a hand here by back raising? Like, if the small blind has any idea of what's going on, the small blind's 3-bet is kind of on the smaller side. I mean, he really should be 3-betting like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. He should be making this like 140. But I don't know if it's going to get. Your hand just looks like you're never really flatting a big hand there, right? I mean, I guess you say like if you, it's just. I mean, that's sort of how I look at it. But anyway, so it's what 5 ways or 4 ways or something like that.
Yeah, we got 5 ways.
Yep.
With 420 in the pot going to the flop.
420. So it's very bloated, obviously, right? Like in this type of situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So the flop is 3 of hearts, 2 of hearts, 2 of diamonds.
Okay. So you flop a straight flush draw.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So the small blind continues, makes it 180 into 420. The big blind calls. The under the gun +1 calls, and it's on me.
Small blind bets 180. Big blind calls. Limper calls?
Yep.
So 540. The pot is like 960, and it's 180 for you to call, right? 180 for you to call. And you've already put in what you. So if you make this call, the pot will be you'll have 700 left, right? 360, 540, right? Is this 960?
Yeah, there'd be 700 effective left. I started deeper, but the small blind. Yeah.
I mean, if you had a combo draw here that was non-nut, like a 4-5 of hearts or something like this, I mean, this would be a jam all day. It's kind of hard to screw this hand up unless you think that for some reason somebody's sandbagging like in the middle, but really hard for someone to be full or to have a deuce or something like that. And you have a bunch of equity with your, you've got a straight draw and a flush draw. It sounds like as bad as the players are in between, I actually think that I would raise all in for value here. And what I mean by that is that you occasionally you actually might get lucky and somehow it's probably not going to be happening on this board, but this is where sort of a combo bet comes into play. Combo bet being like, oh, you can actually get a better hand to fold from the small blind, like in a hand of like jacks, and you get a worse draw to call. So you get better to fold and worse to call. What I'm thinking about here, though, is that if you jam in the small, first of all, if the small blind has like kings or queens, you're almost deadly. You probably get 45% equity. But what I'm thinking, sort of out of the box, is if these guys are so bad in the middle that if you jam or make a raise that commits you, and then the small blind goes with it, you might get the other guys to come in between now as well. So I want the other guy's money. So the way I would be thinking about this hand is, how do I get the other guy's money in? And much like when we fast play a strong made hand, it's probably good to get money in now. That getting some money in now is going to guarantee some of this other guy's money in between here too, because if you wait, now there's one less card that they can see on with whatever draw that they're on, and they might fold turn. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you get it in here and the small blind calls, you know that none of those guys are going to fold out, like, lower flush draws or anything like that, right? Like, at this level, especially if they're as bad as you say that they are. So that's sort of where I'm thinking with it. And then, of course, you can have something very lucky happen where you might get, like I said, the small blind to tank fold tens or jacks, and then you get a worse draw to call, excuse me.
Yeah, no, that all makes sense. So I was definitely between a call or a jam, and then I kind of thought back to, well, I have the nut flush draw here. I don't want to scare off a lower flush draw. So I ended up just calling, happy to get the money in on a later street.
Hero calls. Somebody in the live chat said, what about just like making a min raise here? Bumping it up to like 400 or something like that, and then possibly seeing a free turn. I mean, It's interesting. I feel like the small blind, if he's going to go with it, is just going to jam over the top of your min raise. So,
Well, yeah, here we go. So the button jams for 380. He was kind of an older guy that was tilting. He just lost a good amount of pots in a row. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going with fours plus here, I think, and a low heart draw. Mm-hmm. So the small blind kind of thinks for 45 seconds or a minute and rejams for 680.
Well, this seems like a dream for you, right?
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. So he get two folds, back on me.
Uh-huh.
I'm calling all day.
Yeah.
Because it's 680 to win 2200.
Right. So 680 for 2200, right? So it's obviously it's
Yeah.
three of hearts, deuce of hearts, deuce of diamonds. Um, and yeah, I mean, I had forgotten the fact that the button was in there behind you too, like on the flop,
Yeah.
even though it's written there. But this is one of these situations where there's a good example where, like, if you're up front, say for example, you're somehow like in the big blinds position with this hand, and there's a bunch of people behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you, like you would want to pull the hand, you wouldn't want to drive the people out, behind you, but when you're in late position or at the end, you could start getting more money in here too. Obviously, you have an easy, um, call here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure out is do I raise this hand? Do I play it more as a pull? I'm not folding.
Right. So what ended up happening?
Turn was the worst card in the deck, 2 of clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And the river I bricked. It was like 10 of diamonds or something like that, and small blind had aces. So I mean, I had the right equity.
What did the button have?
He didn't show. Small blind just flipped over aces on the turn.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Right?
Okay. Yep.
Except that you could have made this look really bad in back jam pre-flop, right? That would get it with it.
Yeah, valid.
Thanks for the call. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.